a child, you are used to be kind of always in control, because if you, and actually in reality, you have never been in control. It's just that the idea of being in control is when your body is like this. Then it gives you a sense as if you're in control, but it's an illusion. Because as a child, you decided, okay, if I keep like this, I'm in control. And you've learned to live like this. And then you wonder, like, oh, but why am I having this and that? Because the body is tired to stay in this contracted state. And you're like, yeah, I'm positive, but for how long? Because the natural state became that of a contracted state, not of a relaxed state. And so the only way, even if you feel like crying or whatever, just let it go now. Let it cry, whatever. So I'm working now. While I'm saying, I'm giving also transmission. So we're already working. So what happens is that if I don't stay, your consciousness works like this. If I don't stay in this contracted state, it feels like I'm nothing. I'm nobody. So I have to stay in contracted state, because the contracted state makes me feel like as if I have boundaries. So basically, it's a whole problem of not having boundaries, not being able to create your boundaries because someone violated your will. People were telling you, hey, go there, do this, don't do that. So, and you just let your will be controlled by other people. So now when you have an offspring, you just imitate the same model. You have the pattern. It's like, okay, now I have to suppress him and control him because that's how I used to be. So now the only way you could feel a boundary within you was the boundary of being contracted, so that you can feel this tension, and this tension makes you feel, oh, I'm somewhat alive, I'm existing. Now, when you're in a relaxed state, you're like, well, how can I live being like this? Yeah, you can also act and feel bounded and feel like, yes, you see, I own it. I have my aura in a relaxed state. Not that I didn't struggle. Don't misunderstand me. I did struggle a lot of years having this issue, how to let go and how to just own your space, and be comfortable with who you are, even if you're by yourself, even when you are not extended or someone else's extension. So what this experience teaches you, focus on yourself. Stop trying to be someone else's extension or trying to attach other people to be your extensions, because it's not going to work. I mean, it can work in the same way it works for other people. And how it works for other people, they drain their life, their vital energy, and die sick, in agony, rotting alive, because they've drained themselves out of energy because of such dispersion. Instead, this is a choice. Everything about this reality is about, are you able to cultivate energy, or you will be eaten, or your energy will be drained. How your energy is drained? By your inability to retain attention and focus within yourself. Because when you choose to prioritize yourself in a healthy way, not in a selfish way, you simply keep focus within, and you interact with the extensions, with the projection, kind of from that internal contentment and awareness standpoint, where awareness is not going outward. It perceives everything from within, but while still being inside the body. What happens with the person who is trying to be in control, who has traumas, and these traumas are still getting better of them, they're unrefined, is that they get out of their body and attach to the projection and stay there. The attention is there even when the situation is no longer valid. For example, you had a conversation with someone, this person left a certain bitter taste in your mouth, or created a negative situation where a certain negative reaction was invoked. So you stay in that situation. You're trying to control it when the situation dissipated, but the taste, the aftertaste, the feeling is still there. is because your consciousness is still there in the situation. A healthy consciousness, which is not traumatized, it takes its focus back in itself right after the situation is over. And even if you feel that negative feeling inside or contraction, you just focus within and observe it without trying to connect it to any story or trying to change it or remove it. Just like, okay, you surrender it, meaning you still consciously relax the body, even if the feeling is still there. So in a way, life itself tries to balance itself out. If you have a negative feeling or contraction from within, your focus will naturally go within. But instead, we try to get ourselves back out by entertaining, numbing, again, trying to connect to something which is outside, or we start connecting a story, start thinking about that person instead of observing the feeling without thinking and describing and creating a story. I've written about it in Siddha Tantra very clearly. So this is a mechanism that you have to try to understand how it works. Basically, do I want to stay outside in the illusion because in front of you there is no person, no situation, you're just by yourself, but you feel still that situation as if it were there, present, because you can't stop the mind from analyzing what had happened, why. And so instead, letting go means I don't need the story, and just focus on the feeling without the story. It is connected with I love myself and I want to, observe myself and prioritize myself. And the way to do it is to focus within. If I keep on staying with illusory situations, people, or circumstances that happened, I don't know, 20 years ago, how am I in the present moment, right? And again, to be in the present moment doesn't mean to be in a contracted state. To be in the present moment means you're completely in the flow. It means in the flow means I'm relaxed. And when you're relaxed, it means there is a proper circulation of energy, and you call that proper circulation as a relaxed state, or even deeper blissful state, or just positive energy. When your nervous system contracts, there is no positive energy. There is just this is a pattern. The pattern, people think pattern must be, some kind of thoughts, or, not necessarily. The deepest of all patterns is this contraction of nervous system, which is uncontrollable. And it's because you had the trauma in the past where the only way you could feel alive and some sort of boundary is by keeping yourself in that contracted state. So now you need to dissolve the pattern. And sometimes, in some cases, the way is to just start consciously relaxing your nervous system in the moments where you feel that you again jammed, contracted inside. So this is the way to go. And again, it has direct connection to self-worth and self-love. Self-love is directly connected to self-worth. Who am I in this world, right? When you were continuously reminded by the system, by the parents, that I'm nothing, I'm just one of the... So you haven't created healthy boundaries. Healthy boundary makes you autonomous. Unhealthy boundaries make you either codependent or trying to be independent. And both are ridiculous, because you can never be completely independent, because we're all interconnected on the collective subtle level. Subtle level means emotions, thoughts, and whatever. Energetically, we're all interconnected one way or the other. Our bloodlines, ancestry, everything, we're interconnected. So we can never be fully independent. It's a foolish pursuit. But we can be autonomous. It means we can hold our energetic boundaries steady, erect like invisible wall, where we feel comfortable, we feel at home, relaxed in our own space. And when you can do that, you start creating proper boundaries with people where You allow them when the frequency matches yours, or you allow them when you want to match your own frequency to theirs. And you can clearly communicate to them that this is me, and I demand self-respect without actually verbally demanding it, just because I accept myself. So the spiritual boundary, this protection shield arises when you feel comfortable within, when you actually respect yourself. You start feeling comfortable, you start feeling rooted, you start feeling grounded because of who you are. And so you don't compromise on your boundaries. It means if the person disrespects you, yells at you, I don't know, tries to demoralize or gaslight, whatever that could be, you are not swayed away from that central point of kind of being at home and grounded. You're just, you know what? Thank you very much, but this is not for me. I'm not feeling comfortable, so I have to move away, or it would be nice if you left. So you remain in your position steady. That's a healthy boundary. That's a healthy way of being and being grounded. When the person has experienced severe trauma, and trauma doesn't mean necessarily an abuse, but some sort of an whatever family dynamics where the child cannot perceive themselves with healthy boundaries, nor the parents create any healthy boundaries, and there is some sort of a violation of healthy or whatever boundaries in general, and constant sort of overpowering of one's will by the others, it creates this kind of an unhealthy dynamics where the person is forced into submission, forced to be under control. And then when they grow up, they also try to control, and also try to either control or be under control. And so there is a codependency. And when this takes place, the person cannot feel grounded. So their natural state is that of an anxiety and restlessness. So they never feel at home. Actually, their home is that anxious feeling because of that which they inherited from their natural home, not natural, but that family home. And now when they're trying to progress spiritually, they feel that resistance, because to be grounded, to be happy is not a familiar frequency. And now they need to reteach their nervous system to repatternize kind of in a good way, so that they can dissolve these patterns where they feel as if in control, but it's an artificial control. It's actually a feeling of paralysis from within, where you're paralyzed into non-action, or into some kind of a victimhood, or you just have to move in angles. So you have to be, you're very squarey, because a healthy or healed human being with a healed psychology becomes more fluid, becomes more flexible, becomes more kind of naturally confident without extremes. Like arrogance is an extreme, or like this unexplainable submissiveness is an extreme, or lashing at someone is an extreme, or kind of like trying to please is an extreme. All of these are unhealthy reactions of a traumatized self. And the traumatized self is the identity which is corrupt. Corrupt identity doesn't have autonomous spiritual boundaries or shield. And so it's kind of like dispersed, and it's constantly struggling. Oh, I give too much, or I receive too little, or I vice versa. And it's because unhealthy identity is actually still, because it's a part of creation, nature. It's trying to balance itself out throughout life. And so it's kind of running into extremes and trying to continuously counterbalance the extreme and running into the other until eventually it does. And that when it finds this middle point, the golden middle, it balances itself out and realizes that I'm not here to demonstrate anything. I'm not here to be overly confident or being low self-esteem. I am here to be myself. And what does it mean? So when you ask yourself, what is it to be myself? to be who I am. It means to be authentic. But I don't know. I don't have a reference point of what is it to be authentic. And that's where the spiritual journey begins, when you start asking yourself, what is it for me to be natural, to be authentic? And the first thing that you discover, because you become aware of this, you not only become aware of this, higher being, but you also become aware that actually your normal, at this point, natural being is that of a contracted self, of a corrupt self, where you're trying to please, or you're trying to demonstrate your anger, or when you give too much, you don't receive enough, and you feel frustration. So all of these are the signs of the corrupt identity. And so when you realize that the natural identity is not that of a controlling or being controlled, you just learn to finally, you find an easy solution. It's kind of so obvious, but so difficult for a corrupt identity. It's just you inhale, exhale, and relax. And this is called the moment of letting go. We can do it any time like this. Anyone can do it anytime, but we have never experienced it. So we don't have a reference point until someone tells us, or someone says, hey, you just do it like this. It's just so easy. And you realize, it's like before, when you're a child, you don't know how to open jars, that you need to just screw. But and you may try so many things, sticking knives there, forks, trying to get it open, and you can't open. But that once someone shows you, it's so easy. The same applies to our corrupt identity. To heal is very easy, but it's just, it requires intelligence. It requires an example, a reference point. And from a spiritual standpoint, this reference point is the frequency, the higher frequency. Once you experience this higher frequency, which allows you to be in that relaxed, blissful state, even for a minute, it's already a reference point. And this reference point will pull you out of contracted state, because you will say, okay, now I was in this relaxed state. So how did I come out? And I came out because an old pattern took over. So how do I become conscious and just let it out? So any moment I can surrender the control. So the best strategy is to understand, when you are in a state of control or wanting to be in control, you inhale, exhale, and surrender, withdraw and detach from the situation, thoughts, ideas, whatever that is that triggers that contraction. But when you are in a situation of depression, laziness, procrastination, you don't want to do anything, you're just like, whatever, that's the time to inhale, exhale, and start doing. For example, start cleaning, go for a walk, start exercising, cook yourself a nice meal. You see, there are two sides. When you're active, meaning you're in a contracted state, I need to act, I'm anxious, I'm restless, I need to do something, I want to be in control. This is the time to just lean back and do nothing and let go. And the moment when you're just, I can't get up, I can't do it, I'm too lazy, I'm too procrastinating, this is the moment to start doing something. This way you start regulating your nervous system consciously. You regulate the imbalanced depressed state, and you regulate imbalanced anxious state. Both are about being in control, or trying to be in control, and losing that control. Or being a victim, meaning, why are you a victim? Because you lost control. It's not a natural relaxation. It's also a suppressed state, but in a different, passive way. We're like, okay, whatever. But it's not real relaxation. So many people just dissociate, but they're not still relaxed. So it's about observing when you're trying to be in control, or where you just like, okay, whatever. Again, both are unhealthy reactions. And so in order to regulate your corrupt self means it's emotionally, psychologically, spiritually dysregulated. It has kind of a false reactions in situations where it shouldn't have such reactions. it's indisciplined type of reaction where the body, the nervous system, the mind, the emotions are all dysregulated, all misaligned. And so when you actually need to get yourself together and start doing, you're just like, whatever. Maybe you just needed the last moment to push and you gave up. So, and at the same time, where you should let go, okay, I've done everything I could. Now I just lean back and relax because, you know, I can't do more. In this case, the person continues being anxious and agitated and expecting something, and, you know, and it just causes more harm. So what happens actually is dysregulated self-expression, creative expression. These souls have creative potential, but this creative potential is kind of distorted because creative potential should be used in a kind of harmonious, proper way. What does it mean? It means that I have a vision. Okay, there's a vision. I plan, I discipline. Okay, I apply focus to discipline, to write a plan, maybe to understand what actions I have to do. You know, I manage my life. So an aligned person is, it means he can or she can manage themselves, align themselves and manage. It means express creatively in a very consistent way, disciplined way. And at the last moment, when they can't actually control the outcome, they know how to let go and just see whether these seeds bear fruit. The dysregulated person or partially regulated is like, okay, but I've invested my time, but I've done constantly expecting results, cannot just lean back and let it manifest. So a lot of people nowadays, you know, talk about this law of attraction or manifestation, but most of the people who are trying these laws, yeah, this is maybe a law, but when you are in the misalignment from within, you are completely dysregulated. So it means you do not know when to let go, when to push, when to let go, when to understand that this is a flow with the rapids and this is a calm flow. So this is the ability to tune into the natural flow is wisdom, is actually healthy way of being, the natural way of being. Most of the people exist in this unnatural flow of being. They push too much where they shouldn't, or to the degree that they shouldn't, and then they question, where is my manifestation? You know, do as much as you can, again, in a relaxed way. In a relaxed way means selflessly. Just do as much as you can and then let go and see if these seeds sprout out, if they bear fruit. Most of the people push and push and push and can never let go. And that's the secret of manifestation, is letting go. And when they never let go, it never comes true because they continue pushing, pushing, pushing and living in this contracted state and this restless, anxious anxiety. You know, like this is so-called uncontrolled ambition. Or other people go to the other extreme where they're like, oh, whatever. And so when they actually have to organize themselves, discipline themselves, maybe wake up a little bit early or go to sleep early or create some kind of an action plan and actually start doing step by step, they cannot. They give up in the middle because they're inconsistent, because, oh, again, I'm depressed. Oh, again, this emotion. So their will is under the pressure of these emotions and they're dysregulated. And so it means that their creative potential is wasted into these or drained by these emotions. So they cannot say, okay, well, you know what? Yeah, once I accomplish this job, then I will have a moment like 30 minutes where I'll be crying or being depressed and allow myself to do that. You know, so a healthy person doesn't mean that they can't have negative emotions or some ambitious pursuits, but they can inhale, exhale, and say, you know what, it's taking toll on me. I'm too stressed right now. I just let go and have a cup of tea. This is called letting go. Or, oh, I feel a bit lazy today and a bit like procrastinating. But how about if I just do a little bit? They start doing a little bit and then get involved and start doing more, and then they get back into the flow. So, and if they feel again depressed, they say, okay, you know what, I'll accomplish this first, and in the evening, I'll have my cup of tea, I'll go to have my bath, you know, with my candles and a little bit reminisce and think of something negative. You know, this is a healthy reaction. Unhealthy reaction is like, that's it. The person is completely engulfed and consumed by negative emotions in a wrong moment. And wrong moment is every moment. It means that the negative emotions get better. What does it mean spiritually? It means the person is possessed. We can be possessed, or the attempts of being possessed can be multiple throughout the day. People are just unconscious. They think it's just normal to plunge down into the negative feeling, but it's not. It's just because everyone else is dysregulated, and we're living in this absolutely bizarre, dysregulated society. There is no reference point. How many healthy or healed people do you see? Very, very few. And then the majority of people, oh, it's fine to be depressed, it's fine to procrastinate, but then don't question yourself afterwards, like, why other people are successful? Because those who are actually successful in whichever way, they know how to discipline themselves, first of all. They know how to regulate themselves. I'm not saying they're never stressed, but they kind of handle it. Other people just handle it in a kind of imbalanced way, or perverted even sometimes way. So when they have to stand up and do, they just sit down. When they have to actually let go, they push more and more. And the result is exhaustion of nervous system, draining of energy, and eventually aging, unnatural death, disease, etc. I mean, this is just, we accepted it as natural, but it has nothing to do with the natural, because the natural being is that of the relaxed, is being in a flow. You can even act, but out of the relaxed state. It means acting from the passive, or kind of like, you know, being kind of active externally, but internally calm. If you want to consciously relax, you inhale, exhale, and let go. The problem is that you cannot relax. You know, you are just like, okay, let me just be in this contracted state. Let me just, you know. So who can stop you from that? Nobody. It's your choice, you see. You can't change people. So there are two choices. You accept them, or you withdraw yourself and cut off the connection. In any relationship, you ask yourself, are my emotional needs met? And am I meeting this person's emotional needs? What am I putting on the table? What am I contributing? And is there equal give and take? If any of these questions have a negative answer, you should reconsider. Either communicate your frustrations, and if you see it's not communicable, then you let go and cut off. How do you do this? First of all, do it energetically. You withdraw within and prioritize yourself. There's nothing more important than my well-being. Because without my well-being, I won't even be able to participate in relationships to begin with. So I need to withdraw and heal myself from this corrupt connection. And I have to be open after some time to a new connection. You should never close off and say, never ever. If you are love, you will be attracting that love. Nobody can reject true love, but you have to learn to become yourself love. So you have to spend some time letting go of corruption, so that that frequency of true, authentic being and true love can be revealed through your heart. It means you open the heart. People can betray you, but again, did they really betray you? No, they didn't fulfill your expectations. But it doesn't mean that you should close off. You should always be open and trust that life just brought you experiences that made you a better person. And it has nothing to do with you. It was just mismatch, incompatibility, or you just grew out of this relationship. So it has nothing to do with you. Most of the people link, because of, again, being in a corrupt state of identity, they link their sense of self with the person, with their status, what they represent as a couple. And that what hurts them. So I always say, no one can break your heart. People can only break your ego because heart is always in a state of love if it's an open heart. When you're tuned and aligned with your higher self, you're in a frequency of love. So that frequency of love allows you to understand from the start or very soon, is this frequency matching mine or not? Is this person's frequency matching mine? Is there equal give and take? And when you notice there are some differences or issues, you simply address those issues through communication, peaceful, calm communication. You communicate your needs and they should communicate their needs. If there is an issue in communication, style of communication, the person is blocked and capable, you should ask yourself, can I build anything? Because if you are healed and your focus is to build healthy relationship, you should ask yourself, can I build anything with this person? The point is not just like, oh my God, they're ideal, I give myself. Don't ever throw yourself and give yourself too early. Understand, again, by keeping healthy boundaries, is this person really for me? Or am I just driven by loneliness and isolation, my trauma? And the answer is that if you really question yourself, if you ask yourself, is this person for me? Can I really build anything with them? The first kind of criteria is, do they communicate and are willing to communicate? If they don't, then you see, well, I do love them on a high level. Maybe I wish them all the best, but they're not suitable for me because they're not communicating. And I need communication because I can see that 3-4 years down the line, they will be more and more closed off because they're not willing to open up and communicate or admit their issues, and they choose to be closed off. So can I build a relationship with a closed off person? And the answer is no. I don't care how handsome, how beautiful, how amazing, how successful. It simply doesn't make me feel well, nice, loved, cared of, and protected. And that's the point of relationship, to feel secure, to feel appreciated, and to be able to build something together, whether it's a home, whether it's a family, whether it's going and doing the same thing we both like. If that doesn't happen, it means incompatibility. No sexual connection or attraction can beat incompatibility in the long run. So when you know that, you instantly raise your standards and you say to yourself, okay, do I want to just suffer because this person makes me miserable, and just to name myself a married person or in a connection relationship, or I'd rather go spend some time alone, heal myself, decide my priorities in life, understand the vision, maybe even write down that vision, and then start manifesting that vision by simply staying in that alignment within myself, staying in that higher frequency of love, where I don't need to chase love. It just brings me love. That love that is on my frequency. And I'm growing all the time. So the more I am improving myself, the higher form of love I am capable of. And so the higher form of love I can experience with another person. And because I'm also wise through this healing process, I know how to select, and I know how to wait, and I know how not to push and become anxious or become avoidant. I navigate through the flow within myself. And so I know how to remain in that flow, even when I'm interacting with other people, without losing that, center, groundedness. Because sometimes when you meet new people, you lose yourself in the process. Oh, I need to please them, I need to impress them. And then you come out of that grounded state. The same happens with anything else, be it your health, be it your work. Does it satisfy the soul needs? Am I feeling happy in this situation? Am I feeling happy in this home? Am I feeling happy by the way my furniture stands? If I'm having chaos or a lot of stuff around and dirt, am I feeling happy being in an unneat place? If the answer is no, roll up your sleeves and start cleaning, start doing something, start changing. That's the wise way of understanding how to direct your creative potential, your creative energy towards the projection, and how to change life, people, circumstances in the projected reality, where you have a clear vision. That's what enlightenment, wisdom is called clarity. You defined it within yourself, and once you've gone once you've gained clarity, you direct creative energy towards that particular goal, because that goal is visible clearly. When you're messed up and confused, where are you directing your creative energy? It's dispersed. Oh, I might need that, but I don't know, this, that. It makes people unsuccessful. Unsuccessful means misaligned and dispersed. It means I have hundreds of targets and I should no target. It means confusion. So a lot of confused people want to be all of a sudden spiritually enlightened. How is it possible? A spiritually successful and materially successful person is always on target, always aligned, always focused, always knows where to push and where to abstain, where to direct their creative energy and where to just retain it and conceal it. That's what makes you successful, knowing how to regulate your energy. And energy means your emotions, your thoughts, your, I don't know, physical actions, etc. When there is no clarity, there is chaos in life. Clarity, you know, for example, yogically speaking, this line, once you're enlightened, it's like straight line. Your creative energy is like in a straight line, like laser sharp. Your intellect, your consciousness, that laser sharp. It means that your entire being is aligned and you know what your soul wants and what it doesn't want. So it focuses on what it needs and wants, but not in that obsessive way, in a way of being surrendered. Yeah, I'm pursuing my goals, but in a relaxed way, because what do I prioritize? I prioritize life. What is life? Life is me. What is me? The immortal essence. And when I realize that, how can I prioritize drama? How can I prioritize useless actions which are not going to lead me anywhere? How can I prioritize some illusions which don't fulfill me, whether these are addictions, obsessions, etc. So I purify my life. Many people think to purify, clear your life means, oh, I have to use the healthy diet. These are just one way of seeing it. Purified life, clear life means your creative energy is not wasted and dispersed. It's just within you, concealed, and only used in a very pure and sharp way when needed, according to your consciousness. And this consciousness is higher consciousness, the consciousness of the soul. Because the body is aligned with the soul. The body has recognized the higher frequency of love, existence, awareness. And so that becomes the priority. And everything else gets cleared off the way, because you realize that all the other things, basically, those of obsessive nature, I don't know, attaching you, mudding your water, are those which are draining and making you confused. So what do? How do you reach the state of purity? By clearing off the path, withdrawing your attention, your focus from these aspects of reality. And then you become relaxed, because there is nothing to entertain there. That's the state of simplicity. That's the state of true renunciation, true simplicity, and true clarity, where you realize that, you know, I was worried about some drama that happened, I don't know, 10 years ago. I withdraw my focus into myself. I'm enjoying my peace in the present moment. But when the person is incapable of doing it, they neglect the present moment. They can never be in the present moment, and the past rules their present. How can they then jump from the past into the future? It's impossible. And that's why the future remains locked for these people. So if you want to be clear, start prioritizing yourself. So it's always coming back, like, why everything else is important. And again, when people are confused, they're very gullible, they're very manipulatable, and yet they try to hold everything under control. It's impossible. It's like you're hurt and you're trying to be in control. The only person that can be in control in this world, or anyone who is truly in control, is actually grounded within themselves and is detached. Detached, concealed within, and focused on what? On the higher existence, the higher frequency within them. They, cultivate that higher frequency. This is the only scenario when someone can truly say, I'm in control. In control of what? Of their creative potential. Don't waste it on confusion, on doubt, on negative emotions, on chaotic thinking, and on just projecting it unnecessarily. People so much talk about, sexual abstinence. The real abstinence is when your mind is capable to stay within the body in a blissful, equanimous state. Then you're truly in control. You're in control of your immortal essence, or better said, the immortal essence is in control of the body, so it doesn't waste bodily fluids, bodily energy, or vital energy in general. That's what the state of renunciation is. That's what the state of alignment is. That's what the state of yoga is. It's one and the same thing, just different words. Or the state of health. When you're dispersed consciously, when you're constantly on a lookout of something to fill in the gap, to satisfy your imbalanced self, it's like it's never enough, because that imbalanced self is like a black hole. No matter what you give it or how you feed it, it is just never satisfied. The state of control is I am all right. It's a state of contentment. I'm fine as I am now, with or without whichever or whatever, whoever. And that's the feeling of being grounded. You feel it in your pelvis start being, relaxed, your lower abdominal area, legs, the entire body is filled in with warmth, high frequency vibration. Your mind is just empty, but at the same time, you feel that strength, that creative power, even if it's in a concealed way. You don't need to use it, but you feel it. That's what makes you realize how confident you are, even without trying to demonstrate it. This is called the internal power that most of the people have no reference point of. That's the way. And so letting go becomes this sort of a middle point where if you cannot surrender into the flow when you feel anxious, or on the contrary, when you feel lazy, procrastinated, or procrastinating, or depressed, if you cannot organize yourself back into a healthy action, it's impossible to heal and to start regulating and align yourself back into that natural flow.